What if I told you that the very thing you're fighting against right now is actually your greatest teacher? What if the problem that's keeping you awake at night will completely disappear within months? You probably think I'm crazy, but stick with me here. Right now, you're about to discover the first powerful lesson that changed everything for millions of people throughout history. This isn't just philosophy. This is a life-changing truth that will shake everything you thought you knew about how life works. The ancient masters called it the foundation of all wisdom, and once you really get this, you'll never see your problems the same way again. Are you ready? Because what I'm about to share with you might be uncomfortable at first, but it will set you completely free. There was once a man who built the most beautiful garden. Every flower was perfect. Every tree stood exactly where he wanted it. He spent years making it just right. Then, winter came, and everything died. He stood there angry, shouting at the sky, demanding to know why his perfect world had to end. But spring returned, and new flowers grew. Different ones, more beautiful than before. That's when he learned the first truth about life. Everything that exists must change. Your current situation, whatever it is, won't last forever. The job you hate, the relationship that's falling apart, the money problems keeping you awake at night, they're all temporary visitors in your life story. But here's what most people miss. The good times are temporary too. That promotion you're chasing, the perfect relationship you dream about, even the moments when everything feels right, they'll also pass. This isn't bad news. It's the most freeing news you'll ever hear. When you really get this, you stop clinging so tightly to things that were never meant to stay forever anyway. You stop demanding that life freeze in place just because you like how things are right now. Think about your own life for a moment. Remember how different you were 5 years ago. The things that seem so important then probably don't matter much now. The problems that felt huge have either been solved or simply faded away. That's the nature of life. It keeps moving, keeps changing, keeps flowing forward whether we like it or not. The ancient teachers understood this deeply. They watched seasons change, watched people grow old, watched empires rise and fall. They saw that trying to hold on to anything permanently was like trying to grab water with your bare hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. But most of us fight against this truth every single day. We take pictures to freeze moments. We make promises about forever. We plan our lives as if we have complete control over what happens next. Then we get frustrated when reality doesn't match our plans. The wise approach is different. Instead of fighting change, you learn to flow with it. Instead of demanding that good times last forever, you enjoy them fully while they're here. Instead of believing that bad times will never end, you remember that they too will pass. When you stop trying to control what can't be controlled, something amazing happens. You find peace in the middle of chaos. You discover that happiness doesn't depend on having everything stay exactly the same. Real happiness comes from accepting that life is like a river, always moving, always changing, and always taking you somewhere new. This understanding changes how you handle both success and failure. Success becomes something to enjoy without getting attached to. Failure becomes something to learn from without getting stuck in. Both are just temporary stops on a much longer journey. The beauty of impermanence is that it makes every moment precious. If flowers bloomed forever, would we stop to smell them? If sunsets lasted all night, would we pause to watch them? It's because things don't last that they become so beautiful and meaningful. When you truly accept that nothing stays the same forever, you stop wasting energy trying to freeze time. You stop fighting against the natural flow of life. And in that acceptance, you find a freedom that most people never experience. The freedom to let life be exactly what it is, moment by moment, change by change. Now here's where things get really interesting. Once you understand that everything changes, the next lesson will blow your mind even more. This second powerful teaching is about something that's probably controlling your entire life right now, and you don't even realize it. It's about how your emotions have been running the show, making decisions for you, and keeping you trapped in cycles you can't break free from. There was a woman who loved her son so much that she couldn't let him make his own mistakes. Every time he failed, she felt like she was failing. Every time someone criticized him, she took it personally. Her love had turned into something else, a chain that bound both of them. She thought she was being a good mother, but she was actually preventing both of them from being truly happy. This is what happens when we confuse love with attachment. Real love wants the best for someone, even if it means letting them go their own way. Attachment wants to control, possess, and never let go. One brings freedom, the other brings suffering. You do this in every area of your life without realizing it. You attach your happiness to getting that job, finding that person, buying that house. You think these things will complete you, make you whole, give you the peace you're looking for. But here's the truth. Nothing outside of you can give you lasting happiness. Think about social media for a moment. You post something and then check obsessively to see how many likes you got. Why? Because you've attached your worth to other people's opinions. You've given strangers the power to determine how you feel about yourself. That's not freedom. That's emotional slavery. The same thing happens with relationships. You meet someone and immediately start planning your entire future together. You create expectations about how they should behave, what they should say, how they should make you feel. Then, when they don't meet these expectations, you get upset. But they never agreed to be responsible for your happiness in the first place. Here's what emotional detachment really means. It doesn't mean you stop caring or feeling. It means you stop making your inner peace dependent on external circumstances. You love people without trying to own them. You enjoy good things without desperately clinging to them. You face difficult situations without being destroyed by them. When you master this, something magical happens. You become truly free, free from the constant need for approval, free from the fear of losing what you have, free from the anxiety of not getting what you want. You find a peace that doesn't depend on anything or anyone else. People often think this sounds cold or heartless, but it's actually the opposite. When you're not desperate for love, you can give love more freely. When you're not attached to outcomes, you can take bigger risks. When you're not controlled by your emotions, you can make better decisions. The key is understanding the difference between caring and being attached. You can care deeply about someone without needing them to behave a certain way. You can work hard for something without being devastated if it doesn't happen. You can feel emotions without letting them control your actions. This freedom comes from realizing that your happiness is your responsibility, not anyone else's. No person, possession, or situation can give you lasting peace. But when you stop looking outside for what you already have inside, you discover a strength and joy that no one can take away from you. But here's something even more fascinating about finding that inner peace. There's a third lesson that makes everything click into place. Right now, while you're listening to this, your mind is probably somewhere else. Maybe thinking about what you need to do later, or replaying something that happened yesterday. This is the trap that keeps most people from ever finding real happiness. And once you understand it, everything changes. A monk was walking through a forest when he came across a man sitting by a river, looking miserable. "What's wrong?" the monk asked. The man replied, "I'm worried about my presentation next week. What if I mess up? What if they don't like it?" The monk pointed to the beautiful sunset reflecting in the water. "Look around you. This moment is perfect, but you're missing it completely because you're living in next week." This is what your mind does all day long. It jumps between past and future, never actually staying where you are. You're eating breakfast while thinking about work. You're with your family while mentally planning tomorrow. You're always somewhere else, missing the only moment that actually exists, right now. Your mind treats the present moment like a waiting room. It thinks real life happens somewhere else, at some other time. But here's the truth that changes everything. The present moment is the only place where life actually happens. Everything else is just stories in your head. When you eat an apple while thinking about something else, you miss the taste, the texture, the simple pleasure of eating. When you hug someone while your mind is elsewhere, you miss the warmth, the connection, the love that's right there. You're physically present but mentally absent from your own life. The ancient teachers discovered something incredible about attention. They found that wherever you put your attention, that's where your experience of life happens. If your attention is in the past, you experience regret and sadness. If it's in the future, you experience anxiety and worry. But when your attention is fully here, right now, you experience peace and aliveness. This isn't about stopping thoughts or emptying your mind. That's impossible and unnecessary. It's about noticing where your attention goes and gently bringing it back to what's actually happening right now. Your breath, the feeling of your feet on the ground, the sounds around you, the person in front of you. Watch what happens when you pay complete attention to simple things. Really listen when someone talks to you without planning what to say next. Really taste your food without scrolling on your phone. Really feel the water when you wash your hands. These ordinary moments become extraordinary when you're fully present for them. Your problems seem huge when your mind is scattered between past and future. But when you bring your attention fully to this moment, problems often disappear or become much smaller. They exist mostly in your thoughts about them, not in the actual present moment. Being present also changes how you handle difficult situations. Instead of getting lost in stories about how terrible things are, you deal with what's actually in front of you right now. You respond to reality instead of reacting to your thoughts about reality. The amazing thing is that presence is always available to you. No matter what's happening, no matter how crazy your life gets, you can always come back to this moment. Your breath is always here. Your body is always here. The present moment is always waiting for you to come home to it. When you live from presence, life becomes vivid and alive in a way you've never experienced before. Colors seem brighter, food tastes better, conversations become deeper. You stop sleepwalking through your days and start actually living them. Now here's where this journey takes an incredible turn. When you start living in the present moment, you begin to notice something that will completely transform how you see other people. This fourth lesson is perhaps the most radical and life-changing of all. It's about discovering that the walls you've built between yourself and everyone else are actually made of nothing but thoughts. A teacher once asked his student, "When you look in the mirror and see your reflection, do you get angry at the mirror?" The student laughed and said, "Of course not. That would be crazy." The teacher smiled and replied, "Then, why do you get angry at other people when they're just reflecting back to you what you haven't healed in yourself?" Most of your life, you've been living as if you're completely separate from everyone else. You have your problems. They have theirs. You have your pain. They have theirs. You protect yourself from them, and they protect themselves from you. But what if this separation is just an illusion created by your mind? Think about the last time someone really annoyed you. Maybe they were rude, selfish, or inconsiderate. You probably thought, "I would never act like that." But here's the uncomfortable truth. The things that bother you most in other people are usually the things you don't want to see in yourself. The mirror doesn't lie. When you truly understand this, everything changes. That person who cut you off in traffic isn't your enemy. They're probably stressed, late, or having a terrible day, just like you've had. That coworker who seems to hate you might be dealing with problems at home that you know nothing about. That family member who always criticizes you might be repeating patterns they learned as a child. This doesn't mean you accept bad behavior or let people walk all over you. It means you respond from understanding instead of reacting from anger. You set boundaries from love instead of building walls from fear. Real compassion starts when you realize that everyone is fighting battles you can't see. The person who seems to have everything together might be struggling with depression. The person who acts tough might be terrified inside. The person who appears confident might be full of self-doubt. But here's what makes this really powerful. When you stop seeing others as enemies and start seeing them as fellow travelers on this difficult journey called life, something amazing happens to you. The anger that was eating you alive starts to dissolve. The resentment that was weighing you down begins to lift. The judgments that were separating you from love start to fade away. You begin to understand that hurting people hurt people. Happy people don't go around making others miserable. Secure people don't need to put others down. Love people don't withhold love from others. When someone is cruel to you, they're showing you their pain, not your worth. This understanding naturally leads to forgiveness, but not the kind where you pretend everything is okay. Real forgiveness is understanding that people can only give what they have. If someone can't give you love, it's because they don't have love to give, not because you don't deserve it. When you start treating everyone with this kind of understanding, the world begins to treat you differently too. People sense when you're coming from judgment versus when you're coming from compassion. They respond to your energy before you even speak. The most beautiful part of this transformation is that as you become more compassionate toward others, you naturally become more compassionate toward yourself. You stop being your own worst critic. You start treating yourself with the same kindness you're learning to show others. You realize that we're all just doing the best we can with what we know and what we've been through. Some people's best looks better than others, but everyone is struggling with something. Everyone is afraid of something. Everyone just wants to be happy and loved. Now comes the final lesson that ties everything together. This last teaching is about something you've been struggling with your entire life without even knowing it. It's the reason why you swing from one extreme to another, why you can't seem to find lasting peace, and why even when you get what you want, it never feels quite right. This fifth lesson will show you how to find the sweet spot in life where real wisdom lives. There was a musician who couldn't get his instrument to sound right. When he made the strings too tight, they would snap. When he made them too loose, they wouldn't make any sound at all. He was ready to give up when an old master walked by and said, "The beautiful music lives between too tight and too loose. Find that middle place and your instrument will sing." Your life is like those strings. You spend most of your time pulling them too tight or letting them go too loose, wondering why you can't create the music you want to hear. When you're afraid of being hurt, you shut down completely and miss out on love. When you're desperate for love, you become clingy and push people away. When you're scared of failure, you don't try anything new. When you're obsessed with success, you sacrifice everything that matters for goals that don't fulfill you. You do this with food, with work, with relationships, with everything. Either you're completely disciplined or you have no discipline at all. Either you care too much or you don't care enough. Either you're totally optimistic or completely pessimistic. You live in extremes because you think that's where the answers are. But wisdom doesn't live in the extremes. It lives in the space between them. It's not about being perfect or being careless. It's about finding the place where effort meets acceptance, where caring meets letting go, where planning meets trusting. The middle way isn't about being lukewarm or uncommitted. It's about being fully engaged without being attached to outcomes. It's about working hard without being driven by desperation. It's about loving deeply without being possessive. Think about how you make decisions. Usually, you're either overthinking everything or making impulsive choices you regret later. The middle way is different. You gather information without getting paralyzed by analysis. You trust your intuition without ignoring practical considerations. You consider the consequences without being controlled by fear. When something good happens, you don't need to celebrate like it's the best day of your life. When something bad happens, you don't need to act like it's the end of the world. You learn to meet both success and failure with the same calm strength. This balance shows up in how you treat your body too. You don't need to punish yourself with extreme diets or destroy yourself with junk food. You don't need to exhaust yourself with brutal workouts or become completely sedentary. You find a middle path that honors your body without obsessing over it. The same wisdom applies to your mind. You don't need to suppress all your thoughts or believe every thought you have. You don't need to control your emotions or be controlled by them. You learn to observe both thoughts and feelings without being overwhelmed by them or pushing them away. In relationships, the middle way means you don't need to sacrifice yourself completely for others or be completely selfish. You don't need to trust everyone blindly or trust no one at all. You learn to be open without being naive, to be kind without being a pushover. The beautiful thing about finding this balance is that it brings peace to every area of your life. You stop swinging wildly between extremes. You stop exhausting yourself with constant internal battles. You find a steady, calm center that remains stable no matter what storms are happening around you. Living from the middle way means you can hold two opposite truths at the same time. You can be strong and gentle. You can be confident and humble. You can be serious and playful. You can plan for the future while living in the present. There you have it. 5 life-changing lessons that have the power to completely transform how you experience every single day. If you made it this far, you're already different from the person who started watching this video. These aren't just ideas to think about. They're tools to use, wisdom to live by, and truths that will keep revealing deeper meanings as you grow. But here's the thing about wisdom. It grows when it's shared. If these lessons resonated with you, if something clicked or shifted inside while you were listening, then someone else in your life needs to hear this too. Maybe it's a friend who's struggling, a family member who's stuck, or someone who just needs to know they're not alone in this journey. Hit that subscribe button if you want more content like this, real wisdom that actually works in real life. And please, share this video with someone who could use these teachings. You never know how much impact these simple truths might have on someone else's life. Sometimes the right message at the right time changes everything. The journey of awakening doesn't end here. It's just beginning. Thanks for being part of this community of people who are choosing growth over comfort, wisdom over ignorance, and love over fear.